Episode 21, playoffs, baby. Take one. Hey, everybody, we are back, and yes, this is the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host, and I'm very happy to be talking about the Boston Celtics this week because the playoffs have officially started. And yeah, the Boston Celtics have been matched up with the Miami Heat. And no, I know what you're thinking, wait a second, is this an old episode? No. We are 2 games into the series against Miami. We have split the first 2 home games, which is not a surprise. If you're a Boston fan, you know that we've had our home road playoff struggles in the past couple of years. We will get into that in the podcast, but we're going to look at those 2 games, what happened, what went well, what went wrong, how is our panic meter, where are we looking, how are we looking, why are we looking, and when are we looking? All of the things. We're going to discuss everything. Of course, like I said, we are matched up against the Heat. The Celtics and the Heat have had a long history. Obviously, in the past 4 years, the Celtics have played the Heat 3 times, and all 3 of those meetings were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and this is the 4th matchup in 5 years. The first playoff meeting in this recent iteration of the 2 teams, of course, coming in the bubble, 2020 Heat win in 7 games to go on to play the Lakers and get gentlemen swept in that series and lose in the finals. And then 2022, the Celtics en route to their finals appearance, their first finals appearance since 2010 with KG and Paul Pierce. We went through the Heat again in a 7-game grueling series. There were so many storylines. Jimmy Butler almost hit a 3 to make the Heat win, but we held on and we made it to the finals, of course, losing in the finals to the Warriors. And then the very following year, Eastern Conference Finals again. Heat won again in a 7-game series. Celtics obviously almost overcame an 0-3 deficit, the first ever time that had happened or would have happened in the NBA. Exciting series. Tatum gets hurt on the first play in Game 7, and we lose Game 7. Heat go on to get, again, gentlemen swept against the Nuggets. So for some reason, this is our team. This team, a lot of people say, is our kryptonite. It's our nemesis. It's something that, it's like this. It's a motif in today's NBA for the Boston Celtics. It's something that just constantly shows up, and it symbolizes the one thing that we need to get over the hump, which is being able to beat a resilient, tough, gritty, hard-nosed, smart, well-coached team. And that's what the Miami Heat are. And this year, I think we're going to do it, but we're going to dive into all of it. Of course, also, there's more history beyond that. You have LeBron James, Chris Bosh, D-Wade teaming up to take down the super team that was in Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. They, of course, they won that game again, another 7-game series in Miami, which ultimately caused Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen to make their way off of the team. And so we have rivalry there. Paul Pierce hit a game winner against the Heat. We now have Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday was on the Bucks that got gentlemen swept last year in 5 games against the Heat, the 1/8 seed back then. So there's just a lot of storylines, and we're going to get into it all. It's going to be great. So we're going to talk about that, but it's not just going to be me. I'm going to bring in my trusty sidekick. You know who it is. It is Timmy KGB, aka T-Bone Steak, extra rare. No hollandaise, not a drip. So we're going to bring him in, and we're going to dive into it, because this is playoff basketball, and we're excited. And there's so many great matchups around the league, but we're going to focus on Celtics Heat. Like I said, split the first 2 home games in Boston. Let's dive into it, because there's so much to get into. And I suggest that we do, because this is the dribble. Timmy KGB, I feel like it's been a while. How are you, Timmy? How you doing?
I'm good. A little rattled after a pretty rough Celtics loss, but yeah, I'm good. We just drafted Drake May. Let's go.
Let's go,
Patriots. The draft a little bit. I mean, like, I'm psyched. I'm happy we didn't trade back or anything like that. It's getting a little JJ McCarthy scares, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Like you said, playoffs are finally here. This is what we've been waiting for. I love talking NCAA basketball with you, but this is an NBA podcast, and I'm an NBA guy. And so I'm happy that this is finally kicking off. Like I've talked about so many times, I've been so excited for this playoff Obviously, the West is super stacked. The Celtics starting this run that we have been waiting for, like 5 months now? We've been waiting for the playoffs. We've been
like Jason Tatum said, right in the beginning of that first game, he's like, "We waited all postseason, we waited all training camp, we waited all season." He gave us the run in. I love that. Did you hear that on the mic'd up?
Yeah, they played it a couple different times, and he was like, "We had to wait preseason, opening game, Christmas."
Yeah, he didn't deliver it in the most charismatic fashion, but I like the sentiment.
Yeah, exactly. He just listed everything.
Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Arbor Day.
Yeah. Arbor Day. You remember Arbor Day? We were all waiting for the playoffs on Arbor Day. Oh man, but we are here. We have made it. Before we check in on the NBA playoffs, though, we have our major wager to get back to, and it is getting not so tight. I would like to say it's getting tight, but Timmy KGB, for all of you who remember the first episode that Timmy came on for Major Wager, he and I both did some future bets, and my future bet is still out. The jury's still out. He made a push late in the season, but we'll see what happens. He
looked damn good in that recent game, man. Luka, baby.
Yeah, he is so good. I mean, Luka, look, this push getting to the 5th seed could do it, and their numbers are closer than people think. And I happen to know, because there's some people who I listen to on the radio who did vote for him, have him in the first place, who do have votes. So he will get some first place votes.
There's just no chance.
But he's not going to get it. For people wondering what we're talking about, I had Luka Doncic for MVP. We did a gentleman's bet 200 with just even odds. So like 200 to win 400. And Tim had most improved player, and he picked Tyrese Maxey very smartly, because Tyrese Maxey has officially been named the NBA most improved player. Congratulations, Tim. You have $400 added.
Thank you, sir. Now, I want to correct you just a little bit. It wasn't a gentleman's bet. We bet the odds on it. It's just that each of our bets were roughly 2 to 1. I mean,
that's right.
The odds just happen to be there. But yeah, Maxey, officially most improved player. It felt like when we bet it, like 3 weeks into the season. Since then, it's been pretty much a foregone conclusion. Although there were a couple stretches where a couple other guys might have taken it, but Maxey deserves it, and I deserve it. Most importantly, honestly. Yeah. So
you do. It was a good call.
Let's go. $400.
Let me ask you this though about Maxey, because they were under 500 without Joel Embiid. They were under 500. He could not hold the ship afloat, and he played fine, but he didn't impact winning a ton. And I don't think if there was somebody who was a little bit closer, maybe there could be someone. I love Kobe White. He's great.
I was gonna say Kobe White would be the one guy, like La Flama Blanca. Yeah, I love him. He has looked great, but I don't think that's a knock against Maxey. That team without Embiid, like, yeah, you're right. They fell in the rankings, but that, come on. I mean, like, that's not enough.
It's an individual award, I know, but it's something to look at. If Kobe White had played so well that it pushed the Bulls into the playoffs, then maybe I could see it being more of like even a 6 seed is what I mean, like outside of the play-in. Then I could see that being an argument. But anyway, congratulations to you. And I probably won't win the Luka Doncic, but that puts you up, plus the championship bet you won. That puts you up to $1,462. 462 over what we started with, which was the even grand. And I lost my championship bet with Purdue, and I'm still on waiting for my MVP bet. I am at 1,118. So you currently have a $350 or so, $345 lead on me. But
we're both in the black, Luke. We're both in the black. This is impressive stuff.
We're doing good. We're doing real good.
And the playoffs have started for the NBA, but also just for us. I feel like I'm ready. Like I'm like Tatum. I'm like, let's go. I'm gonna make some money in the playoffs.
I was on Arbor Day making bets before, and I was like, I just want to get to the playoffs for Major Wager. Let's do it, because I love my pick, and I'm super excited for this. Again, having the picks back be in the NBA. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna take the initial, because I'm behind. I need to catch up. I need to thin this lead out. I'm going to do a 3-leg parlay for tomorrow night. Bucks at Pacers.
I'm doing that game too.
Nice. I wonder how similar we have them. So 3-leg. I'm doing Tyrese Halliburton under 10.5 assists.
Okay.
I am doing Pascal Siakam over 27.5 points. Okay. And I am doing the Indiana Pacers money line. So those 3. Right. Give me odds of plus 470. I'm betting the major wager classic. I'm betting 100, obviously, to win 570. So let me explain a little bit what I'm thinking here. Tyrese Halliburton, for anybody watching the Pacers, he's not the same player. He doesn't have the same pace. He doesn't have the same step. He's been like around 5, 6 assists in these past couple of games, even the games entering the playoffs. I don't think he's going to have a poor assist night. I think back in the indie crowd, he's going to have a much better game. I think he's going to have about 9, 10 assists, but I don't think he's going to have that 12 assist game that we were so accustomed to seeing him have. So I think he's going to hover around that, maybe 9, 10 assists, but he's going to have a better game. And that's going to be a reason that I think they win this game in the money line. And then Pascal Siakam has scored 36 and 37 points in the first 2 games. Conventional wisdom maybe says that he cools off a little bit, but I think he will. I think he maybe again. I'm playing it pretty close. He's over 27.5 for this. I'm taking the over, and I think he'll probably have about 29, 30 points. I don't think he's going to go off for 35, 36. He could, but I'm taking that. And then, like I said, I just like the Pacers in this series to begin with, so I'm taking money line. They're back home, lots of energy. They play well at home. So, and no Giannis, obviously, again. So that's my 3-leg parlay. Like I said, betting 100 to win 570, trying to catch up.
So yeah, you're playing catch up. I'm doing the opposite. So maybe it's because of that maxi bet clearing, and I have a little bit of headroom, but I played it super safe this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're heading back to Indiana. I think the Pacers stand a really good chance of winning this game, so I don't
Yep.
disagree with that. But I am betting the Bucks +6.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
same game parlay. Like I just did a straight up bet this week. That like I was looking down the lines and there were a couple that I liked, so I could have parlayed this with another game. I also kind of liked um the Suns -4. I just
yeah.
feel like they're due for a big bounce back.
I
They've been
agree.
atrocious. Man, Minnie has just been like handling them.
Also, hammer the over for people out there on
Yeah,
Kevin
yeah,
Durant points. Kevin Durant is going to
yeah.
go off in this third game. He's going to have 40 plus points. Hammer it.
But I didn't do any of that. I just did the Bucks +6. I do think on your spicy P side of the bet, he's been fantastic. I'm not the biggest Siakam fan.
Me neither.
I do kind of think like, all right, is he going to be hovering around 30 every game? I mean, because Halliburton, I don't know. I guess he's injured or whatever is going on with him, but he just does not seem like the guy we were praising so much all throughout the year.
Yeah.
Uh, Clearly, I mean, what? How many shots did he take the other day? Seven shots, I think, less
7
than that.
shots. Yeah.
Um, so it's gonna hang on Siakam. I'm not saying that the Pacers will lose the game, but 6 felt like a really, yeah, it just felt like a higher line than it needed to be. So I was like, all right, I'll take the Bucks on 6.
Yeah.
Getting 6 on the road. So that's it. Betting 100 for 190. I mean, I look. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel over here right now.
Yeah.
I'm playing it a little safe. Maybe I'll regret it if you win your bet. We're gonna be neck and neck again, but it felt like a safer bet for
I
me.
was gonna say you're kind of taking a playbook out of the Celtics or play out of the Celtics playbook because you're letting up on the gas a little bit, trying to just kill the time. But Timmy, there's a lot of time. Playoffs just starting. I got a 3-leg parlay. All of them make sense to hit. At least history tells us. So okay, I
Hopefully, it
like
goes
it.
better for me than it went for the Celtics last
Yeah.
night.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics are playing the Heat. And if you've been listening to the dribble all year, it is the one team out of the 30 teams that I did not want to play in the first round. I would honestly play Denver in the first round because I
Stop,
just don't like playing the
stop
Heat.
it.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I wouldn't play Denver. In the 2 games, the Celtics have split at home, which is not a surprise for the Celtics throughout the playoffs at home in the past couple of years. The first game we won handily, though, by 20 points, up at 1 point by 34, 114 to 94. And then the second game, the heartbreaker, we lost 101 to 111. Timmy, what do you think?
So, I mean, I don't know how much you want to cover game one, but look, I'm assuming we're going to focus more on game two. I mean, here's what I think. I think on game one, in game one, we came out and we played our game. Like we looked like the Celtics who dominated all year, and it was a very similar game script.
Yeah.
Um, Miami was loading up on Tatum, loading up on Porzingis, on Brown to some extent, and forcing those guys to make passes out of double teams, out of tough coverage. And They did. And
Yep.
it felt like, I was watching the game, I was like, this is exactly the way we want to play. And it was like just kickouts to, you saw him, like Hauser, Pritchard, everyone got involved. It was one of those games where the Celtics, this particular Celtics team plays their best when everyone is getting involved, when we're making plays. Tatum had some great ones. He had a triple double, as we know. Like he had his cross court pass to Hauser out of a double,
Skip
and you're
passes. He had a lot of skip passes.
a great skip pass, and you're like, all right, so this is a terrible game plan for Miami. Like this is a great way for us to win. Now they closed the gap. We had some DeLon Wright unexpected fireworks. You're going to get that from Miami, but ultimately, what was it? We won by 20 in the first game.
We won by 20,
Yeah, so
94, still held them under 100.
but again, it felt like it was 30 plus for a lot of that game. So anyway, I obviously love that game. Everyone did, and after that game, everyone's talking a big game of, well, if the Celtics even lose one game, it'll be surprising. And you know, you may recall, I was bullish on playing the Heat, right? I
Yep.
wanted to play the Heat. I was asking for the Heat, asking for the smoke. I don't feel differently,
Uh,
honestly. I don't. I would still rather
Good.
play than the Sixers, but uh, we got the type of game that makes you, and me to some extent not want to play this team. So yeah, in game two, like the thing I noticed the most was uh, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league,
Yes.
and it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it does. Jimmy Butler's amazing, but it kind of doesn't matter if Jimmy is in or not. Because if you remember last year when they beat us, they had Jimmy playing, but it was a lot of Caleb Martin. There's a lot of these guys you don't expect, and they didn't have Hero. So if you're replacing Jimmy as the lead offensive player with Tyler Hero, who again
Yep.
they didn't have last season when they beat us,
Yep.
I'm not saying Hero's anywhere near Jimmy Butler, but they sort of just need a guy to be the focal point of the offense. And I believe it's just more about Spolstra than anything else. Like to
Yeah.
me, this was like a Spolstra masterpiece because the first thing they did was they stopped loading up on guys. They
Hmm.
stopped doing exactly what was killing them. He always makes the right adjustment game to game. And they stayed home on every three. And they said, beat us one on one. So we had what at the half, I made a mark of it. We were 20-4 points in the paint.
Yep.
And that tells the game script of the whole game.
Yeah.
We were getting to the bucket, and I'm feeling good about it at that point. But again, that was Miami's game plan. It's like we're gonna make Tatum, Brown beat us. We're not gonna let Hauser. We're not gonna let really even look White, Porzingis, even those guys. We're not
Peyton
gonna let
Pritchard
those
had
guys
zero shot
get zero
attempts
shots. Yeah,
in the second game.
yeah,
And to your point about the points in the paint and Eric Spoelstra, they completely flipped the script where the numbers of points in the paint in the first game, the Heat the Celtics had 24 points in the paint and the Heat had 44 points in the game paint, and we crushed them. In the second game, the Celtics had 46 points in the paint and the Heat had
yeah,
26. Literally a complete flip of the script. Those stats are just mirrored. They just flipped the entire game plan and made us play how we made them play in the first game. And
totally.
and also Eric Spoelstra is now, including this game that he just won, this game two, he is now 10-3 in game twos after losing game one. 10 and
Yeah,
3 in the playoffs. So that's
that's a crazy stat. That's wild.
10
Yeah,
and 3. And that's just one of those things where that means his adjustments are just spot on. He sees what he sees in the first game and he always has a perfect adjustment for it.
yeah. And what was frustrating about it is like again, he's gonna make the adjustment. He's so flexible as a coach. That's his greatest gift.
Yeah.
And what I found just really frustrating was, so Miami's making shots. So it takes multiple things. It's like so Spoelstra makes the adjustment, but also Miami has to make all of these shots. I mean, they obviously they shot up. They made a franchise record threes for the playoffs. Like we know all these stats,
Right.
but it's just like on the other side of the ball. So offensively, the Celtics obviously Kristaps had a terrible night. He was 1 for 9.
Terrible.
We'll talk more about Kristaps, and Drew had a bad night too. So
Bad two
enough guys,
games, honestly.
yeah, bad 2 games. Enough offensively at least. Enough guys failed to execute. I mean, Tatum and Brown had good nights, but if Drew and Porzingis failed to execute in that scheme, we're going to struggle offensively. We had 101 points. It's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought we lost this game on the defensive end. I
Yeah.
really did. because clearly we have this plan that's like, okay, we're going to we're gonna essentially allow Miami to shoot. And we're not afraid of Caleb Martin threes. We're not afraid of
Ugh.
Jovic threes. We're not afraid of Hero threes. Well, Martin made 5 for 6, 5 of 6. Jovic 3 for 4. Hero 6 for 11. Like Highsmith made a few. You know, at a certain point, Joe, like, don't you think you should adjust and actually close out? And maybe it's a coaching thing, maybe it's a player thing, but I was just watching all game, late rotations,
Yep.
over helping on drivers, and
Going
weak ass closeouts.
and going under screens on Tyler Hero. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you go under a screen, that's okay. But whoever is on the switch on the screen or whatever it is has to ice the screen if that's going to happen. And we kept playing drop coverage and going under the screen on Tyler Hero or Hawkes, whoever it was. And we just were. It seemed like you said we had like a confidence thing of like they're not going to hit these threes, which we've never played this team and this hasn't been the case. Like this is what they do. They guys who you don't expect make big shots.
And there's a lot of like this attitude about the Heat where it's like, oh, they have this magic or this Heat culture. It's like, but I don't think it's that at all. I think it has more to do with us, like the Celtics,
Yeah.
because if the Heat, what's the stat? They've shot north of 50% from three 4 times versus the Celtics since last
Four
postseason.
4 times in the last 9 games,
Yeah,
they have
and
shot north of 50%.
so either you believe in some sort of Heat magic, or you believe that if you don't close out on NBA shooters and let them shoot practice shots, they're going to make those shots.
Yep.
I tend to believe the latter. So to me, it's like especially late in the game, that was that Hawkes three. There was a Highsmith three late, and I'm like, guys, clearly they're hot. Like the more shooters see the ball go in, the better they're going to shoot. And I'm like, so we're just sticking to the game plan. And then afterwards, it's like Joe goes, I thought our closeouts were fine.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to
You
bring
know,
that up. That his,
and so
his response and
yeah,
Jaylen Brown's response, just saying, yeah,
yeah,
they just got hot. They were hitting difficult shots.
yeah, we'll live with those. It's like,
No, we
well,
won't.
no, because yeah, you can choose to live with those. But to me, it's like I get that against a team like I don't know, like who would be a team that would apply to, like the Lakers or something, right?
The
Where it's
Magic.
like, or the Magic, even like, well, the Magic are just a poor shooting team, but like I can see that philosophy against a team that could kill you inside. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, so Tyler Hero, what? You're afraid that he's gonna beat you off the dribble? It's like we're in deep drop coverage
Yes.
against a guy like Hero, whoever. It's like, okay, but what happens if we close out harder and defend the 3 point line? So he's gonna have to dribble in and make a play. And so yeah, they have Bam, but like other than that, like who are you afraid of if Jimmy's not out there on this Heat team in terms of making a play around the basket? I mean, it's
None.
just Bam, and Bam did make a lot of good plays. Bam's been fantastic in this series so far, and he's honestly he's exposed Porzingis a lot on the point of attack defense,
Yeah.
with in the low post. But yeah, I just think who are we afraid of? What are we giving up if we defend the 3 point line? This Heat team can only beat us on the margins. They can only beat us if they're scoring, if they're shooting from three and they're shooting well. And that's going to happen if we have these weak closeouts. So I just totally did not like the approach or the hubris or the game plan. I just thought it was really weak.
And moreover, the what you said, the post game reaction, it's like they didn't see the same game that we saw, and hopefully through film they do because and film and also just everybody is saying it because we didn't close out on anything. And you're right, there's no threat like that play that I was just talking about, or the several plays where we would do Drew Holiday, one of the best perimeter defenders, would go under the screen, and it would be with Bam Adebayo screening, and you have Kristaps Porzingis in coverage on the other side, and he's
Yeah.
playing drop coverage, and we're going under the screen. What is the threat if you go over the screen and Kristaps ices the screen, even if they get Bam loose on a roll to the basket? We are so one of the best parts about this team is that we're very good at switching. We're such a fast switching team on defense. Even if it's Derek White, it doesn't even have to be Al Horford or a big man. Even if it's Derek White coming over on the weak side for a switch on that play, I am taking a contested Bam Adebayo run to the
Yeah.
rim, and especially on Tyler Hero or anybody else, but even their best rim player over a wide open Tyler Hero three after they've hit 19 threes, 18 threes in the first half or whatever it was. So like it's ridiculous the way we were playing, and it's upsetting. Now, with all that being said, your Heat culture thing is where we differ a little bit, because this is why I think it's a blend. It's obviously a blend of we didn't play well, our scheme was not right, we were clearly not prepared for the physicality that we needed to have, and like you said, offensively, that's fine. That's not going to happen again with Kristaps, or maybe it'll happen one more game, but all around, we're not going to get that poor of a game from everybody offensively. But the Heat culture is this: no other team would have the confidence to let it fly like that. This kind of like the role players. You know what I mean? Like Hayward Highsmith had 0 points in the first game. He was willing to shoot it anytime he got the ball. Heat culture instills this.
That's coaching though. It's like they just
culture.
had the
That's
green
the
light
point.
to shoot. Yeah.
But that's my point on Heat culture. It's like these players, for some reason, it's not black magic. Like people say that, but what it is Spoelstra has motivated these guys and told them and convinced them that, like, let it fly, play your game. And whenever you play any other team, like any other team almost in the NBA, you can feel the worst players being like, it's probably not my thing to shoot, I'll just pass it. I should probably make this play over here. Heat culture, if it is anything, it is instilled confidence in your game to just go play as hard as you can without thinking about should I or shouldn't I. You just should. And they do. You just see them do that. They come off a screen and they're just these. You mentioned DeLon Wright. He is throwing up threes, even though he missed his first 3 or 4 threes. He kept shooting, and then he hit his next like 5 threes. And
they just know they're just smarter. They are smarter than us. Frankly, they're smarter than every team. They just know. Look, they have no pressure. That's the other thing on these role players, like, and the Heat in general. It's like no one expects them to win. And by the way, they're not going to win the series. Like, I'm still going to say that. Like, I'm not going to like fall prey to something like, oh, it's actually like they're going to lose the series. But like, given that, yeah, like we don't have Jimmy, we don't have Rozier, so it's going to have to be you. And it's by committee with like Hero as like the lead in the ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, the more I look at this Heat team, they beat us last year. We were a different team. They're not that different from the team that beat us.
They're the same team.
And that's what I will say. I will not take back my desire to play the Heat in the first round, given all the alternatives and options. But I will say, like, I think I did have a bit of amnesia about how they beat us. And it wasn't really Jimmy excellence.
Nope.
And it wasn't like the way they beat the Bucks with multiple 40-point Jimmy games. It was more this style of play where it's Caleb Martin. Look, dude, the first thing the Celtics should do in the offseason is trade for Caleb Martin and then send him to the G League so he just can't play against us anymore.
Yes.
Like, that should be the first, honestly, the only thing we do is somehow finagle acquiring Caleb Martin and just sending him to the main Red Claws or the main Celtics now and just being like, all right, so that's over with.
Yeah.
Just exiling him to Serbia because, geez, like, he is just frustrating. But a lot of them are easy shots, and then he's the type of player you see that he sees the shots go in, and then he's making.
And then he's a streaky player.
He's got some more flashy stuff, but
yeah, look, I said this, and so you might be not taking back that you want to play them, but taking back maybe that you thought they were a different team, and I'm gonna stamp my flag in that. I knew they were this team. I have been so. I don't want to play this team because they are the same team. And like you said, they were not Jimmy Butler reliant. And the year that they beat us last year, in 2022, when we beat them, but still it was a very close series, closer than we thought it would be. Their 3-point percentage was 34%, but they shot an incredible percentage against us. Their 3-point percentage last year was 34%. And right now they just shot an over 50% 3-point game. And the year before that, so this year, they shot 37 in the regular season. So, like, for some reason, this team, the Celtics team, is a good perimeter defensive team. We're top 3 defense in the entire league. But for some reason, when we play this team, I don't understand. It is our defense. Like, I know we're a good perimeter defense team in the season, but like, when I was watching this game, I sometimes when a team loads up and just like
makes a ton of threes, you're like, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
I did not feel that way last game. I did not feel that way in game two. I felt like this is bad defense.
Yes. It was no,
That's how
I
I felt. I was
absolutely.
like,
And
people are gonna complain, what they made every three. It's like, well, yeah, it's kind of like the Warriors on Jaylen Brown. Like, just shoot. It's
yeah.
like, except Jaylen Brown's in a different category of player than these guys, but it's like, yeah, don't let them shoot. You have to defend that shot. To me, I think the statistics are a reflection of how we play them.
I can see that, and especially last game. There were times in last year's playoff where we were playing pretty tight
No,
on
you're
them.
right. Last year there were a couple times.
Sometimes, but we cannot be fooled and think that it's just there is something in the water in Miami, and I know you don't want to hear that. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I'm buying it. I'm not afraid. My level of concern is exactly where it was before the series started. I just don't want to play them. They muck it up. We saw what they hit. They're just a rough team, and so I don't want every time this series goes another game, it's another opportunity for our team to get roughed up because it's another game that they're going to be scrapping and clawing, and we cannot afford injuries. I'm not afraid of losing this series. I'm just afraid of I just don't like basketball when I watch the Heat play because they just make our players regress into G League players. And
But yeah,
well, I
well, yeah.
go ahead. What are
Okay,
you
okay.
gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that is true. However, and I may regret saying this, but I do feel like even as poorly as we played on defense, yeah, everything had to such a confluence of factors had to occur for us to lose by 9 points here.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was that. It was also historically good shooting from the
Mm-hmm.
Heat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of the biggest game notes. They needed one of our guys to have the abysmal night that Kristaps had.
Yeah.
For this game plan to work.
Yeah.
And I I'm willing to just say this was a really, really poor outing from Kristaps, but post possessions that usually result in Kristaps had a really efficient season
Yeah.
from post possessions this year. He was 1 for 9 today. He was a minus 32.
Yeah. Yeah. And he
So
didn't look good. But so let me ask
you
you
had
this.
to have that game from Kristaps.
Yeah.
You had to hopefully make the adjustment defensively, and then you had to have great shooting from Miami, and a great hero game, and a great Bam game too. I mean, Bam has had two really
Especially
good
late.
games.
Especially late. He hit all those clutch shots when there was any chance for us to climb back into it. So we're talking about offense a little bit with Kristaps. I kind of want to move on to the offensive side just a little bit
Yeah,
because
let's
I
talk more
agree
about it. Yeah.
the game was lost on the defensive end, but it certainly was also lost on the offensive side. Like you said, they did a good job of not bringing help every single time Tatum touched the ball in the low post or Brown, and that basically covered everybody else's bases. But we are way too good to play as stagnant as we played. And that word, stagnant, is a word that we've heard, every Celtics fan has heard over and over and over again with this team. Jaylen Brown had 33 points and he had that burst in the second half, but he didn't play well overall. I did not think he played well. I thought he was picking matchups. If you watch the Boston commentated game on NBC, then you probably heard Scal talking about we're hunting matchups. And that's not what this team should be doing because we can do that maybe against the Magic. We can do that maybe against other teams in the NBA in the playoffs, but we can't do that against the Heat because these players are just, they play with a certain tenacity and they never give up. Jaylen Brown, we kept seeing a mismatch and Jaylen Brown would attack it. Jason Tatum would attack it. And we played a ton of one-on-one basketball, and that resulted in Peyton Pritchard having 0 attempts. That resulted in our bench, where in game one, our bench had 30 points total and had 21 attempted shots. So that means the ball was being shared all around. And in game two, we dropped that to 12 total points and only 8 total attempts by our bench, only 8 shots by the bench. Yeah. And then the Heat, meanwhile, again, flipped the script. They did the same exact thing. In the first game, their bench wasn't doing much. In the second game, their bench came alive. And offensively, the one thing that was making me most upset is we were walking the ball up, Derek White walking the ball up with a rookie on him in Jaquez and just doing that thing and then doing the low dribble to kind of secure the ball and then waiting for the set to happen. The only way we're going to beat this team is catching them on mismatches, but while the ball is moving and catching them out
Yeah.
of space because they're gonna try to. And we just played into their hand. We let them slow the game down. People always say
I
that they mucked the
I
game up.
I agree. I mean, what you're saying is true. I actually thought Brown did have a good game. I understand what you're saying. I know the type of mismatch hunting you're talking about, but I mean Brown. So like to go back to game script a little bit, like we obviously Miami was raining threes. We had a tough start. You know, the run that we had near the end, like at the end of the half, was like great. I mean, like that was the moment where I was like, okay, so Brown made like three threes and
Mm.
he had a play at the rim, and I'm like, all right, we're winning this game. We are going to win this game. Then I
Yep.
went and put my kid to bed. I missed like the first 5 minutes of the third, and I came back down. I'm like, what the hell happened? But the whatever stagnant offense is like, again, not to give Spo all the credit in this game, but like it's a direct result of the game plan. It's like you said, okay, these stars like are gonna have to go one on one, basically,
hmm
right? That was Spo's plan. It's like
hmm
it's like we're gonna disincentivize like the sort of pinging offense that makes the Celtics great. There's got to be an adjustment for that. I hope Joe will find it. I think game three is going to be a real test of Missoula. Like it'll
Yeah.
be interesting
Yep.
to see like what kind of we talk about defensive adjustments. Hopefully they actually guard the 3 point line and maybe like make it a little harder for them to score from that area. But hopefully they make offensive adjustments too and find a way to get the ball moving because this team is at their best when it's a more egalitarian, more democratic offense and everyone's eating and like that first game. Everyone had a good game. No
Yep.
one, Tatum had that triple double. Like nobody was in the 30s. Nobody was had to take on a big scoring load because we have
hmm
so much talent. I'm hoping we can find our way back there. I mean, White was quiet for most of the game, but he had that stretch near the end where he came alive and sort of
Right.
got us back in it, which has become a sort of familiar Derek White playoff thing. It's like,
Yeah.
we get behind and White brings us close enough. But again, we could have won that game
We could have won that game.
after the White stretch if we had just guarded 3 pointer, if they had missed a couple of those, like those couple 3 pointers near the end, I think one by Hawkes, one by Highsmith, just like killed
And then,
us.
well, it's also it was the two mid rangers by Bam. I think he had two or
Yep.
three late that we cut it to 6 or 7 or something, and he
And
just
Tatum missed an easy mid ranger. Tatum missed two free throws.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I want to go back to Brown for just half a second because I stand by that he did not have a good game. I did not like the way he looked on the court. I didn't like the way he was playing defense. Again, you talk about baiting players into, just taking 3 pointers. He was a minus 22 in this game, and you might be like, well, everybody was pretty bad. He was a minus 22. Jason Tatum was a +6. Minus 22 is big difference. He had 1 assist in this game and 3 turnovers. So,
And a really costly turnover.
and
The
a
Duncan
really,
Robinson
really
one at the end.
during
Yeah.
exactly. And look, he talked all week, and this quote from him, I don't have it verbatim in front of me, but you mentioned how the Heat might be a smarter team. I don't know if you saw this, but Jaylen Brown in practice, 2 days ago before the game, said we have to go out and we have to be physical. I'm paraphrasing everybody. It's not a direct quote, but he said these 2 words. He said, because we have to show them that we are the better and honestly, we are the smarter team than them. And they show that he seemed just a little bit relaxed. He did not seem, I know that he hit those threes, but like Tim, how much do we love a pull up three from Jaylen Brown? Those miss, and all of a sudden it's one of the worst games. That's not a good play from Jaylen Brown.
I mean, yeah, but he makes those explosive runs. That's part of what he does. I mean, that's really the biggest thing he does is like
Yeah.
those explosive scoring runs. I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think offensively, we never really looked like the Celtics. We never really gelled.
We saw all year JB play a good 2-man game with Porzingis, and Porzingis was
Yeah,
not having a good game. And I think you would think after so much playoff experience that Brown, and then hopefully you would hope the coach would notice what they're doing. They're making us hunt mismatches and they're playing us straight up one-on-one. And I think we were prepared to see the zone again, but we did not see the zone really in this game very much.
yeah,
And I think that it would have been nice to see him go back to what they worked for so long in this season, which was the 2-man game with Porzingis, get him involved. And then outside of that, I just think that moves, that's at least something, a pick and roll, a pick and pop, with two players, and we just didn't see a ton of successful, like, any play, like any
Yeah,
ball
we
movement.
no, yeah, you're right. We just didn't assist very much. We were way below our season average with assists.
Yep, we had
Like
21.
you're right about the lack of little sets and two-man games, things like that. Like that's sort of why we were so fun to watch all year, frankly. It's like all these little like, oh man, they're going back to the pick and pop with Porzingis on the high post. They're going back to this pick and roll. They're going back to this set. We would run these effective sets over and over. But yeah, I think with Porzingis in particular, I want to talk about that a bit because
Yeah,
again, Porzingis makes a few more of those shots, and you have a Hawkes miss or two more, and we're talking about a win for the Celtics. But
yeah,
that did feel like one of the biggest takeaways for me because inefficient shooting night, but I feel like he's not necessarily at his best in the sort of deliberate post game that he had
yes,
because they were guarding him with a lot of smaller players. I feel like he's at his best when he's more decisive. It's like the best Porzingis play for me is he gets it in the mid post, almost thinks about I'm gonna put it on the floor and turn around and play a post game, but then just turns around and just like
shoots it
does a
over.
little. I didn't even move my legs jump shot, and it's like yeah, because you're humongous, you're a unicorn, right? But when he has the more deliberate traditional post game, I just don't think that plays to his strengths. So it was partly that. I think they gave him too much freedom. It was like, yeah, let's see what you can do. And
Yeah.
so if you have to go to that play over and over again, the Porzingis ISO in the low post, it's like I'm not sure that is the best usage of this team.
And not only is he not super efficient on those, which he's one of the most efficient post players in the entire NBA, but that's because all season it's was the stuff that you're talking about.
It's the type
We
of post play,
It's
yeah.
the type of post play, but it's also what we getting it to him. We were forcing it into the post, and they knew it because Spoelstra. Again, we're gonna sing his praises. Best coach in the NBA. He knows that he is the biggest difference. Marcus Smart and Drew Holiday, as far as the Heat are concerned, are kind of the same, but Porzingis is the one thing that is so different than our team from last year. And he knows that. And we were forcing it in. I know that Tatum had some pick and roll where it was an ill-advised pass, turnover. Brown tried to force it into him, I think a couple times. I think two of Brown's three turnovers were to Porzingis in the middle. Everybody was trying to force it to him, and the Heat knew it. And the Heat had hands, active hands. And again, it just none of the forces looked like plays that we've seen all year. They looked forced, and we weren't forcing Porzingis. One of the best things about him was that he was like this ancillary piece that happened to be so efficient because if the play kind of broke down, we could find him and it would be a quick couple of points. Um, Real quick. So we were talking about our level of concern, right?
Yep.
And neither of us are concerned. I think game 3, obviously, every game as you go into a 7-game series is the most important game, but this will tell us a lot. We came out kicking. We did what we were supposed to do in game 1. Spoelstra had the adjustments. They executed the adjustments, and they played historically well, shot the ball at least historically well. Game 3, like you said, what does Joe do? But let me ask you about this. The Celtics home record. I'm sure that we've all heard this kind of be like circulating, but the Celtics in the past 3 postseasons, including this one, so the last 2 and then just the first 2 home games here, are 12-13 at home, which is a far cry from the '08 Celtics, who won every single game at home until the won by the Lakers in the finals. 12-13 at home. Here's a crazier stat, Timmy. Of those 13 losses, 6 of them have been double-digit losses.
Really? Wow.
Let me put that in perspective for you, though. In the entire regular seasons of the past 3 games from home, so 82 games, 41 games at home, of the entire 3 seasons, the Celtics lost 6 games by 10 or more in the
Yeah.
regular season. So a sample size of about 130 something, 100, whatever that is, I think 120, whatever it is, home games. We lost 6 by double digits at home. But in a sample size in the playoffs of of a total of 25 games, but 13 losses,
Yeah.
we had 6, the same amount.
Yeah.
And
Oof.
in that 3-year span, the Heat are 6-3 on Boston's floor. So they hold half of the baker's dozen losses that we've had. The only point of concern is that, look, that home record also shows that we have a really good away record because we've been winning a ton of series. So it means that we play well on the road, which that's great. But that's the only concerning thing, and especially that the Heat themselves have dominated 6-3.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, like, yeah. So I didn't know the number was quite that, which is obviously arresting.
Yeah.
But I will say this: like, it's it's one game. This game too.
Yeah.
So I don't take a pattern from it. This playoffs just started. This is a different Celtics team.
Mhm.
There are different guys on this team. Uh, so maybe this is an aberrant loss. Maybe we don't have the sort of home losses that we had in the last season or two. Uh, we were an extremely dominant home team in the regular season,
Yep.
and I was tracking that because I was like aware of our home post game struggles. Like we lost a ton of games at home,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, all right, if we can go into the playoffs as a team that's going to have home court advantage for every round because we have the best record in the entire league, and we can rely on great home Boston performances, we'll be all right. Uh, the idea that that trend would continue into this postseason, yeah, it worries me. I mean, that's not good.
That's not good.
I'd
12 and
love to hear
13,
our
that's
record
under
in Miami.
500.
Yeah.
Under
No, I
500.
know. It's so why is that? I couldn't begin to tell you. I couldn't begin to tell you. Nobody could tell you that. Uh, I think yeah, we are. I hate to say this. We have been the last couple playoffs really solvable.
Yeah.
Like teams can solve us. Teams can give us a hard time. Uh, are we going to allow ourselves to be so easily solved this postseason? I hope not. I hope after this game, I hope this energizes the locker room. I hope it's a wake up call. We need to win both games in Miami.
Yes.
If we come back to Boston with a 2-2 series, I'm not going to say we're in trouble, but it's going to go 7.
Yeah.
So like this could still be a gentleman's sweep, as they say. I don't know if it can be a gentleman's sweep if you win the second game, but this could still be a game we win in 5. But if we split, it's going to be long, and any series that goes to 7, I mean, that's got to make you nervous. So yeah, I don't know.
That's why I truly think that game 3 is the most important game of this series because it
Yeah,
also gives them
we
confidence.
have to win that game.
Look, the reason I brought up the Heat's record on our floor of 6-3, out of the 13 losses, they have 6 of them, is that, again, I'm not attributing it to some foreign like practice. It's not some like voodoo magic. It's just that is to me Heat culture. Like for some reason, whatever Spoelstra says to them before the game and throughout the entire season, they're constantly a 46, 45, 44 team win team in the regular season. But for some reason, especially against teams like the Celtics who are talent heavy, the Bucks last year, they just win the games that you're not supposed to win.
Yeah,
They win the away games, the games on our own floor. And like you said, we're amazing at home. We're 37-4 this year at home. Only lost 4 games at home this year. Incredible. And to your point also about the team, like just giving like the entire regular season seeming different. We also never lost more than 2 games in a row, and we only lost 2 games in a row twice. That's it. One
yeah,
stretch in the beginning of the year, one stretch at the end of the year. If we lose on Saturday, that would be an aberration. If we lost the next game, if we go down 3-1 or 1-3 for some reason, that would be the first time this season that we've lost three straight games. But those numbers at home are interesting, and you
yeah.
want to
They're troubling. They are.
you want to lean heavy
Most
on
of
that
those
home court
numbers
advantage.
are most of those numbers apply to a team that it just isn't the same Celtics team.
I agree.
I'd like to believe that. I mean, that's at least what I'm saying to myself. Like this, like you said, this game is going to be really important. Both games in Miami are going to be really important. And my whole point in wanting to play the Heat in this game was, yeah, and it stands even maybe even more so now that we lost this second game. It's can we exercise this curse essentially? This
Yep.
team that, judging by those numbers and just by what we've seen, like has our number.
Yeah.
and is in our head, man. Jimmy tweeted. You see his
I
little
know.
tweet
That was
with his
awesome. That
little.
was hilarious.
It was pretty funny. I even as pissed as I was after that game, I had to laugh at that. But
Yeah.
don't let us get one.
Yeah.
They know how in that's what it is. They're in our. They are in the Celtics head
Yeah. And
collectively, and so I hope it's not like, uh-oh, this could be like last year. I hope the solution is, hey guys, they won one. Now let's crush them
yes.
because we need to suffocate this team.
You cannot look at the last game, and this is again why maybe they were just saying it for the media, but I hated what Joe and Brown said. They were so complacent, like, well, we're fine. We played well. I thought we played. No, you did not play well. Everybody looking at that knew you played slow. You played without aggression. You were not guarding the 3-point line at all. You were ignoring the 3-point line for some reason, even though, like you said earlier in the pod, nobody can kill us on the inside. Even Bam is really like the king of 8-foot fallaways. Like he's not like really eaten up inside, maybe on a couple of lobs, but like
He is nice though.
he's great. Oh,
He's good.
big Bam fan. Shout out to Bam Adebayo. Love Bam. I think he does not get enough credit for how good Miami's been
I
over the
know.
past
He.
four
I
years.
think Chris a great player.
Yeah, he's so underrated. But yeah, look. So let's look ahead. Like you said, we're looking at the Miami games. Miami this year, we're 22-19 at home, so almost a little bit above 500. They were 24-17 away, so they were actually a better away team than they were a home team. The
Not that surprising.
Celtics, yeah, not that surprising. The Celtics, like we talked about, are 37-4 at home, which that trend clearly did not continue last game. But we were 27-14 away, which is one of the best records in the NBA for away. We are a good road team, typically because we come out fast early on road teams. But what is one thing, Tim, that you want to see, and just one thing that you really hope, and you will be actually very disappointed if game 3 ends, win or lose, even if we win it, and we did not do something, that we did not change, or something that we did not implement? What is one thing?
Yeah. So my biggest one would be what I've been singing all podcast. Like I really will be frustrated at Joe if we continue to have the same hubris with the 3-point line with this
Mm-hmm.
team.
Yeah.
They can only really beat us if they outscore us from 3.
Yeah.
It's really the only path. The only path.
The only path. The only.
I
And
guess
it's
the
the
other one
path
would
that
be
history tells us could
If
happen.
Bam has successive 40-night games, 40-point nights. It's not going to happen. So if we don't make that adjustment, I'll be pissed.
Yeah.
But I think offensively we'll be all right. I actually don't. I mean, like, I think that you know we will hopefully get into more of those actions that we talked about, more pick and roll with Porzingis, more of the 2-man games. But yeah, I think it's more the defensive end. I really want to see us make that adjustment. But I don't even think it's really about that. What I want to see, I just want to see us be better than them because we are.
Because
Like
we
it's
are.
not anything specific. It's just like go to Miami. I think we will win both games in Miami. I think we need to win both games in Miami and make this a
Mhm.
short series. Do you think this series is going? Well, how many games do you think this series is going to go if you had to bet?
Whew, if I had to bet, like had to bet. Oh boy. I would say that this series is going to go 6. I think they'll
Me too.
I think they might win depending on this home stretch like that we've been having in the playoffs. They might win game 5 back in Boston, and then we have to steal one in 6. Or, I mean, you said you would really hate it, and you think it would go to 7. I think we win. I think we might split both the first 2. I think like it might be 2-2 heading back to Boston, but then I think we win in Boston and then we go back to Miami. They catch a cold shooting streak and we win in Miami. But I'm like not confident in saying any of it because I just don't know. I could also easily, because it should be a gentleman's sweep. I could see that. I could see it going 5. I could see us going into Miami, destroying them. The one thing I want to see is, and I wish I had this with me, but Jason Tatum, who listens to the dribble every episode. So I know he's listening.
Big fan.
Big fan of the dribble. He has a t-shirt of the dribble, and we don't even have t-shirts, but he has one. It's crazy.
He made it himself. It's really weird.
he made it like in his, but he bought screen printing material to like actually print the t-shirt out, and he like designed, it's a different logo than the one you see right down here. Like it's a different logo. It's weird. He made it himself. He also made one for Deuce. It's a whole thing. Jason, against the Miami Heat over the past 3 seasons, actually 4 seasons since we played them in 2020 in the bubble, he has averaged 9 less points in the second half of games against the Heat. 9 less points, 9 times. And this is not a different trend that has been happening in this postseason. He had 18 points last game. He had 10 points in the second half. That's 8 less. Not 9, but basically 9. In game 1, he had 15 points. And guess how many points he had in the first half? He had 15 points. Guess how many points he had in the second half, Tim? He had 8 to score 23 total.
Yeah.
Every single, I don't have the sheet in front of me, but I did the averages out of, I looked up every single stat of every single game against the Heat. His difference between first half and second half scoring is an average of like 9.2 points per game less in the second half. And in that game, I'm watching Brown post up. I'm watching all these things. I'm watching Drew Holiday force up threes. What I want to see in Miami, like you said, we need to be sharing the ball. But if it comes down to it where Miami's hitting threes and it's a close game, or we are just looking stagnant on offense again, because every NBA champion has it. We've never not had it. Even Tim Duncan, or they had Kawhi Leonard, or they had Manu. Somebody would take over the game who's a prolific scorer. I want to see Jason Tatum late in the third, and in the fourth quarter, absolutely dominate and just show me that dog, Tatum, because he shows it in the first half. Watching him dice teams up in the first half, and especially the Heat, is incredible. That the first half of last night's game, he had 18 points, but he was playing the right way. Second half, he disappeared like he does always. He hit a couple threes, but like that's what I want to see.
Yeah, well, especially in a game like game 2, where they're basically daring him to shoot.
Yeah,
They're daring everyone to not to shoot, but really to go to the rim. You're right. He had a way more aggressive first half. I don't know why that is. But certainly when it gets mucked up like that, you're like, all right, let's see it. I thought Brown fulfilled that role in the first half at least. I mean, nobody scored in the second half. That third quarter was abysmal. But
we average 120.
I do think that's the time for Tatum to be like, all right, look, it's gonna take over.
And that's the one knock. I'm a huge Tatum guy, but I'm also his biggest critic sometimes, because I know when you see the way he plays, sometimes you're like, you could do this every single time down the floor, but I know he shouldn't, because we got to get everybody involved. But there are times like, and this is what I mean by Heat culture and what the players they draft, even if Heat culture's Pat Riley drafting players. And I don't want to admit that. Everybody knows, every Celtics fan should hate Pat Riley, longtime Laker. We all know. But in those instances, a guy like Jaquez or even Jovic is just going, okay, and just shooting. Yeah. He's just shooting. He doesn't care. Tatum's going, okay, should I? No, you take it, Derek White, because I want to be like, I want to get the team involved. And sometimes I wish, like, no, you have Caleb Martin on you. Dice him up, cross him up, pump fake, and get to the line. Like, kill him. You're better than him. And sometimes I just watch him like give the ball to Drew Holiday, and then Drew Holiday shoots a contested three, and I'm like, oh, so we're down by 10.
We haven't even really talked about Holiday, but
we're down by 10 with 8 minutes left, and that's the play. No, I'm not saying he needs to be Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he needs to be LeBron James, but if we are the team that we're going to be, we at least had Paul Pierce that would do that. And Paul Pierce had that dog in him. I just hate to see high points in the first half and low points in the second half. Paul Pierce was the opposite. He would have 8 points in the first half, but then have 20 points in the second half.
I'm with you there. I think it is true that like some of the great ones, like, let's put Isaiah Thomas on that list, King of the Fourth, they come alive near the end of the game. Tatum has never really been that guy. I'd love to see that from him. But just to play devil's advocate a little, and then we can get off it. But like, in game one, Tatum had what, 23?
Yeah,
But it wasn't about his scoring. Like it was about like that was the perfect Tatum game for in my
perfect. I would
opinion.
have
Like
that game over a 40-point Tatum game. But my point
yeah,
is
like
when the
so I
offense is stuttering, though,
but that was him passing to,
but the offense was flowing. My
was
point is
having
when we can tell we're not getting. I'm not talking. I absolutely love because he does. Kobe does it or did it. LeBron does it. Every great player does it. I love when he gets people involved. I said it after that game 23 10 and 10. I would take 23 10 and 10 from Tatum over a 40-point with
yeah,
3 assists every single game. The problem that I'm talking about is second half when our teams are
when we need it. Yeah.
when we need it and we can tell we need it. And all of us fans are sitting there going like, man, we need a bucket. We're not shooting well. Our offense looks stagnant. We don't look like we're moving. That is when gonna be potentially 3 time in a row first team All NBA player needs to become an All NBA first team All NBA player. You can't be like, oh no, but we'll stick to the game plan. With 6 minutes left in the fourth, there's only 6 minutes. And if the trend is that no one's hitting shots and we're not getting good shots, sometimes you're 6'8", Tatum. Like, just take over in those moments. And I'm watching the games and I'm just looking at him. Heater going on a run, Heater up by 12. But Jason Tatum gets the inbound pass and immediately just like nowhere to be found. When just for 3 minutes, shoot every shot. I don't care if they don't go in, but like show me that you're going to will us to get there. And that's the one thing that I want to see on game 3. I want to see an image on TNT of JT late in the third or early in the fourth with just just making a face at the crowd because he just hit his 5th 3 and he is absolutely taking over, saying what we were saying. We're a better team and we have better players. And if he just shot with the confidence that all of the Heat players shoot with, then we would. It's just frustrating seeing how like timid he gets sometimes.
I understand. I didn't think this was his most timid game. Like sometimes I chastise him for that too, but yeah, I mean, like I get it. In the second half, he did have moments. He had long stretches where he sort of faded into the background. But
Yeah.
we're gonna go to Miami. Hopefully, we don't have a game that looks like that again. But I'm still not that worried.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried. Again, if we play the way we're supposed to play and we've played for now 83 games this season, then we're gonna do a gentleman's sweep. But if we just see the same trends of reverting back to what we were last year or the year before, it's not going to be good. So I still think even if we revert to that next game, we're still going to win the series. Miami winning 4 out of 7 on us is tough to see. Like really,
Yeah,
I
it's tough
just
to
don't
say.
like.
Yeah.
I really don't see it. We lost 2 games in a row twice all season, and they were sandwiched between 3 months, 4 months of the season. So like it doesn't happen often, and we never lost 3 in a row. So I don't see it happening, and I'm not nervous, but I'm
No,
certainly
not at
like
all.
annoyed that
Plus the Sixers won tonight. They beat the
yeah,
Knicks and then Embiid looked pretty good. So
Embiid looked pretty good. He's looking better. And that's the other thing. The last thing I want to say on this is that like our path to the finals has never been easier. We've had to
I
face
know.
Milwaukee and these teams, all these teams, even the year that we went to the finals, the first matchup was against the Nets and everybody thought we were going to lose. We were an underdog. We were like, oh, we got the Nets. It's the one team we didn't want. We swept them. But this is the one here where it's like, who's waiting for us? Well, the Cavs or the Magic. Okay, easy.
Magic
And it,
blew out the Cavs tonight, by the way.
Magic absolutely dusted them, and that was in Orlando, which they played it well in Orlando all year. And then we would have after that, if we were to make it past that, we would have either like the Bucks with Giannis coming back from an injury, and also like who are the Bucks right now? We don't really know. The Pacers, who again, it's like a team like the Heat, they play fast, but we should sweep that team, or the 76ers, who have an ailing Joel Embiid who any minute could re-injure, but then also we know how he plays and the schemes that they like to play. We've beaten them every year in the playoffs. Or the Knicks, who I think would be our toughest matchup because they're
You
a little
think the
bit
Knicks would be tougher than the Bucks?
yeah, because I think that the Knicks embody some of what the Heat have, which
I
has
agree
given
with
us
that.
fits in the past. So like I think that the Knicks are gritty, they're tough, but then they also have a guy like Jalen Brunson who can murder you with a 40 piece.
How fun would Knicks Celtics be?
Oh,
Eastern Conference Finals. I hope we get it. I
man,
think
I really do.
hopefully we're headed to that, but
I think we are.
you're right. The path has never been so clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this first round. I mean, for every round, we have to win every round. But like the Celtics, man, if they lose this,
I know.
I had to say, like, I don't think they will either. But if they somehow manage to fuck this up and lose this series, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
But
that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen
but
because
I'm just saying, if it did,
yes,
it would be. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what I would think. I don't know what would happen. I mean,
I would have to like give in and become a Miami Heat fan, but it's not going to happen. And I think it's perfect. I think it is the perfect first round matchup for us to have for this championship run because, like you said, it's going to be us exercising those demons. It's going to be us facing a team that has stopped us or at least beaten us up late in the playoffs every single year. It feels like because people always say, we meet the Heat every single year in the playoffs, which we do, but it's always in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's always like this end of the line thing that has either stopped us twice or just like put us through the ringer and set us up for failure for the playoffs. So I think this is perfect. It's the one team that we keep seeing. We beat them, and then we take on the rest of the NBA. So I'm happy for it, and I like that we lost. Look, Spoelstra is going to get them one, and that was what they got them. And it was
I need for it to be Saturday to get the taste out of my mouth.
I know. I can't believe the Celtics series is like the only one that's 2 days in between the games. I want the game to be tonight.
It feels like an eternity. I want all back-to-backs in the playoffs.
Me too, because after that game ended, I was like, run it back, tip it back up. I was so upset.
Back up tonight. Let's go right now.
Do it now. It has to be now. But no, we have to wait till Saturday. I got to go to work in the morning and go, hey, this is Luke. How may I help you? And do all that all day. And then like go home and like live my life for another, like 24 hours. And then I have to wait like other hours, like on top of that. And then it's just Charles Barkley talking about, I don't trust the Celtics at all. Yeah. And then we finally play.
Well,
I'm heated.
So are we going to pod on after the game and bring the people another hot reaction?
Yeah, we'll bring them
hopefully
a live
celebratory
reaction.
One.
And I was going to say it'll be a celebratory one. We'll bring a wacky Mackey Max.
Oh yeah, man, we got to bring that Mac attack in.
Yeah, so we'll do a direct like a live reaction, not like live. We're not going to go live. We don't go live.
We should live like do like the Peyton Manning, Peyton and Eli Manning, but the three of us.
Oh,
like on the side of the cast,
the Irwin cast,
just chilling.
I'll be Eli. You'll be Eli. I don't think we have to be any of the Mannings. You show up.
Oh no, you
up
be
like
Eli. Max can be Peyton. I'll be the dad.
Oh, you'll be the dad coming in with soda pop every once in a while. All right, man. Well, this is exciting because you know what, and it would not be a Celtics playoff if we did not face the Heat. But I think we covered everything in the past two games. It was a little bit expected. Look, if you believe in trends, which trends happen, especially when they're statistical trends, they mean something. And we clearly have had a trouble at home against the Heat. And we did last game, but we're heading back into Miami to shut those fans up. But they won't be in there until the third quarter anyway. So It doesn't matter. Worst fans in the world.
Our worst quarter.
Yeah, our worst quarter. They'll be there like, oh wait, Boston does suck. But yeah, man, this was sick. Good recap. And like you said, let's definitely do a reaction after Saturday's game because I truly do think that's the biggest game in this series. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a dogfight like every single game is against the Miami Heat. And let's get this W, baby.
Let's get it. The panic meter will be through the roof if we lose this.
It already is all over ESPN and everything. They're like,
I'll do the pod shirtless if we lose.
If we lose, we all do it shirtless. If we lose, all three of us. Well, Max looks good with his shirt off.
Yeah, Max looks good. That would be.
Max has to do it with a winter coat on, and we have to do it. He has to hide his.
Yeah, if we were shirtless and Max had his shirt off too, like that would not look good for us.
Yeah, because then it'd be like, oh, I didn't realize how out of shape Tim and Luke were. That's concerning.
What's the age difference here? Is Tim like 40 years older than the other two?
Was Max adopted? What is
Max adopted? Yeah.
Well, that's a long time question. All right. Well, like I said, Good stuff. Great pod. I think we hit everything.
Great pod.
It's a Heat. The bottom line, I'm going to put a little stamp on it. The Heat and the Celtics, you can talk about Jimmy, you can talk about whatever. It's the same matchup we've seen every year. We have to come and be more creative in game 3. Tatum said that. And to your point, like it seems like the Heat, we just like have trouble figuring them out, and they've figured us out. We need to be more creative, move the ball, don't be stagnant, do not hunt matchups. And on defense, all we have to do is protect the 3-point line. Let them get inside, beat us in the paint. Like the stat that I brought out in the beginning of this, that we had only 24 points in the paint in game 1. They had 44 in game 1. So they had double our points in the paint, and we crushed them. And then in the game that we lost by 10, the script was flipped, and they had 20 more than we did. Or we had 20 more than they did. So ignore the paint, guard the 3-point line, and get it done on offense. Move the ball.
Amen, baby.
Amen. All right, dude. I'll see you on Saturday.
All right. Peace. Go C's.
Peace. Okay, that is Timmy KGB, baby. We just broke down the first couple of games and what to look forward to moving forward. Look, we as Celtics fans, nobody wants to play the Heat. Nobody in the NBA wants to play the Heat, okay? Because they're tough, they're smart, you never know what they're going to give you next game, and they just have a lot of players who believe in themselves. And that's, honestly, belief is a very scary thing. But in order to truly turn a leaf and win this championship and have a continued run of success in the postseason, these are the people we need to beat. This is the demon we need to exercise. Heat need to go down. What a better first round than to have the Miami Heat, the people who knocked us off last year and the people who knocked us off in 2020. This is the group that we need to go through, and we need to show them that we are the better team this year, despite Heat culture, despite everything that they give, despite what Spoelstra can do, which he can do a lot. Do not underestimate Eric Spoelstra, okay? Do not. But I'm hoping we're underestimating Joe, and I hope that Joe comes out with an incredible game plan for Game 3. Game 3, tomorrow, Saturday, 6 o'clock, TNT. Yeah, TNT. The one station that the Boston Celtics do not play well on, TNT. Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, the crew. 6 o'clock. And then on Monday is the next game in Miami. And right now that says TBD time. So I'm guessing it's 7:30, but that is on Monday, to be determined at what o'clock that runs. Stay tuned, because this is going to be awesome. The journey has got to start now. We got to prove it. If we are the team, we prove it now. And if we don't prove it now, guess what? We didn't prove it. So do it. And this has been the Dribble.